Who is the non-entity in this case of the Nigerian Federation?
Of course, you know now. Of course, everybody knows. Can you compare the West with the North? Were they educated? How many of them were educated at that time? When we were talking of the firsts in professions, talk of first doctor, first lawyer, first architect, first this, first that, they were always from the West and the East. How many firsts did you get from the North? So they first, they could better exploit the Northerners than these crazy people, crazy quote and unquote. These brilliant people, these highly intellectual people who cannot be manipulated. So they see it has been sensible to tilt towards the non-entity, so to say.
You are talking of a state that is an inherited artificial state, Nigeria. Unfortunately, the ideals of the creation of that state by the colonialists is still being perpetrated by the inheritors of the Nigerian state. It's a lopsided state. It's a state created to sustain imbalance by way of exploitation. Otherwise, you won't have the regional divide that is so glaring, and then the empowerment or strengthening or propping up of the lesser educated side of the country and empowering them politically. Unfortunately, that's the northern part of the country, and its elites is doing everything not only to take their own region backwards, the people, but entire Nigeria. So you find out that being a poorly run country, people are now being attacked by use of ignorance and religion and poverty as a weapon. How do you break that cycle? Is a great challenge. Well, we have been recommending political education of the people. I wonder how we can get out of the woods. Seriously. Part of the problem is that despite the zeal, patriotic zeal of people with very big Pan-African, national and Pan-African vision, can the Nigerian state, as artificially created and perpetrated, can it continue? This is a very big challenge. When we are talking revolution, most people think revolution is patriotic only when it is nationally encompassing or when it is regionally encompassing. But a situation where the purpose of creation of Nigeria is to exploit them for the benefit of the imperial Britain. Now the inheritors, which are the northern elite, is now perpetrating the same thing to enrich themselves, so that if they are bringing again, as people talk about confederalism, you find the northern elite, which is in control of the Nigerian state, still opposed to it. Not to talk of federalism. Unfortunately, the Nigerian military and the Nigerian government is a bastard, in the sense that you are a bastard, in the sense that you claim to belong to a family, which indeed you are not, and you must act according to your true origin. So the Nigerian state, Nigerian government, the Nigerian civil service, Nigerian soldiery, the military, they are enemies of the people. Instead of being the friend of the civil service, the bureaucracy is the enemy of the people, because it's still a colonial inheritance. So we don't have the Nigerian army, we don't have the Nigerian police, we don't have the Nigerian civil service, we don't have the Nigerian central bank, because they are anti-masses. So the challenge really is that how do we get our people to understand that the present crop of bourgeois politicians are not actually politicians in the real sense of it, They are extractors because they are practicing extractive economy. Drain away, and feed themselves. So the challenge is our people are poor. So if this meeting has been a religious gathering, there will be a lot of people. If it's been a tribal gathering, it's going to be a lot of people. Even if it's a cultural gathering, there's going to be a lot of people. But once socio-political economy, it just less people because the African is not connected to that. It's still look at what's happening. When I made that point when I spoke, that when you speak against government officials, section of government is going to defend dogmatically. It's and when the Igbos or the Yorubas or any other person, Adakaburu people and all that say we want to live out of Nigeria, how come is the north that is ironically the most impoverished but the richest is the only one say want one Nigeria. That means there's a problem and the nature of the country. So I would like to say that if there's going to be a revolution for the better, it's going to be sustained, there must be a way to persuade sections of the northern, at least intellectual elite to rebel. So if you can get a recreation of people like Bukar Cherima and Aminu Kano, if without that, because as much you try to be patriotic, as you want to be patriotic, you want to be pan-Nigeria, but it's clear. Okay, look at Sharia. When you fight against Coin, you fight against alcoholism. When somebody steals a goat, you kill his head. But when you now see the daughters of the rich doing drugs, dressing the way they are doing, it's an elitist Sharia. So it's actually a weaponization of religion using the masses. So the Nigeria colonial project is still on and it must be broken.
Let me make an analogy that I just made in one of my write-ups. There is an executive who has a 30-story building. So there was a crack in his office, 30th floor. And he had to call the engineer that constructed the edifice. There is a crack, please come and mend it. And the engineer had to go down to the basement. So he did not know why the engineer went to the basement. He was now disturbed. Engineer, where are you now? Come and fix this thing. The man said, sir, the crack you are seeing here is not to be mended here, but right from the foundation, because the cause was from the foundation. That's why I went to the basement. Lord Lugard said something in one of his books, which let me remember the title of the book, the Dual Mandate of the British in Tropical Africa. Have you ever read the book?
No.
The Dual Mandate of British in Tropical.
Okay, by Lord Lugard.
Lugard.
Yes.
He confessed in the book that Europeans did not come to Africa to help them, but to fight for their own economic interest. It was a brazen confession. It was a brazen confession. So whatever they did, you should not blame him. You should not blame the British. They have confessed that they came here for their own economic purposes. Whatever is your problem is your problem. They don't care.
But so you blame them in this book.
Yes, I have to blame them. I have to blame them because they are insensitive. They have been insensitive. They have been unaltruistic. They have been wicked. They don't care what happens to the people.
You also make the point in the book that the federation was not balanced.
Yes.
The North was overtly bigger.
Oh, yes.
Than the East and the West.
This is still, you see the same thing we are talking about. Imbalance, insanity, on altruism. We are still talking the same thing.
You said in population and landmass.
Yes.
The northern region was deliberately designed.
Yes.
To be larger than the eastern and western regions put together.
Oh yes.
Why was it designed that way?
It was because okay, let me make an analysis. Okay, there is a loaf of bread on ground. There are 3 families to partake in the loaf, and you have 10 members of the family. I have 2. My friend has 3. And definitely you want to distribute on the basis of the largeness of the families. Who is going to have the larger part? I mean, the largest part. You, of course. So this is one of the ploys. It's a way of benefiting the Northerners. And there is a politics behind it.
What is the politics?
The politics, thank you. Let me see what analogy I can use again. Okay. Edmond Obilo is a very brilliant man. He knows his onions. He knows that nobody can cheat him. But maybe because I'm illiterate, maybe primary school holder, I may not actually know the intricacies of the issue on grant, so I can be taken for granted. So if the exploiter wants to adopt a person for the distribution of the loaf, who do you think he will appoint? The non-entity, of course. Because he can manipulate me. He cannot manipulate Obilo because Obilo is too clever to be manipulated.
So who is the non-entity in this case of the Nigerian Federation?
Of course, you know now. Of course, everybody knows. Can you compare the West with the North? Were they educated? How many of them were educated at that time? When we were talking of the firsts in professions, talk of first doctor, first lawyer, first architect, first this, first that, they were always from the West and the East. How many firsts did you get from the North? So they could better exploit the Northerners than these crazy people, crazy quote and unquote. These brilliant people, these highly intellectual people who cannot be manipulated. So they see it has been sensible to tilt towards the non-entity, so to say.
You know, this argument you make, Paulani Wajayi made it in his book, Nigeria, Africa's Failed Assets.
Well, I don't know, but this is my own conviction. This is the fact that I have.
But the North that you're talking about,
yes,
at the time had a sophisticated political system.
What was
the Fulani had conquered the Hausa states at the time.
Yes.
Their politics was already advanced. So I wonder why you don't recognize that.
I will not recognize that because they are colonialists themselves. They are colonialists themselves.
And to be a colonialist speaks of your political maturity.
It doesn't really matter the kind of maturity you are talking about. The maturity could be negative.
The British maturity was it not negative?
It was negative too.
But again, you agree their politics was advanced. That was why they were able to make incursion into new areas.
Will you compare the northern intellect with southwest intellect of South?
So what did the southwest and the southeast intellect bring?
Have you ever listened to the interview of Harold Smith?
I heard some part of it.
The British colonial secretary. He made a confession that his people were bluntly, brazenly in support of the Northerners because they were easy to be manipulated. Who will manipulate Awolowo? Who dare manipulate Awolowo? Who would dare manipulate somebody like Awolowo? He was too upright. He was too intellectual. He was too educated. He had the best of minds for his people. So, if anybody thinks he could manipulate Awolowo, the person will have to think twice. But these people were there to be manipulated. Now, let me give you another instance. When the coup of 2066 happened,
1966.
Yes, the Northerners, under the leadership of Gowon, when they did the coup of July 29, they wanted to go. They were singing Araba. That is, let them go. Let the North go. But it was the British that came behind the door. Just, don't go, it will not pay you. You better stay here. Because they wanted to continue manipulating, the Northerners. So that's why the Northerners now put their agenda in reverse. And they were now singing One Nigeria. So everything was clear that the British was hell-bent on manipulating the North in their own interest, for their own purposes, which is still reverberating on us till today.
Apparently, if we want to do revolution militarily or paramilitarily, it's going to be serious, but it's doable. is when people think of South Africa and limit it to Mandela, you will have forgotten of people like Steve Biko. We are talking of 1990 and the 1966 massacre, Sharpeville massacre. You forgot of people like Albert Lutuli, 1928. The whole African National Congress actually started in 1908. And there were a series of repression, series of killings, series of this. But the moment the Africans now rebel to the extent of some taking up arms, it became the game changer. You have to think of the support and impact of countries like Cuba. And you know, they operated at that time of the Cold Era war. And so you still get some military something from, but now it's more of a unipolar world. And the whites, that are the grand conspirator against the black for economic reasons. Because let me tell you, the way I understand it, this life is that fish eat fish to get fat. So the black, the continent Africa, is exploited by the West. So all these theories of democracy and all that, they close their eyes to it.
So are you advocating for armed struggle at this point in time?
Listen, I'm in the middle of that. It's a choice. Then it's a choice. It's going to be costly. It's going to be difficult. It's going to be expensive. And it may look more futile. The other way is to engage in a different form of struggle. But we need, in that case again, you now need the help of the working class, the labor. And that is now operating the sit-at-homes. The economic freeze, economic withdrawal, don't go to work, sabotaging the economy by not cooperating with the oppressors. Look at the EndSARS struggle. As good as it is, there's a missing point somebody highlighted today, the non-support of the working class people. The people who came out were the children of the working class people, but their parents were still supporting government unconsciously because they are still going to work. So these are the ways out. And then the third option, which I'm thinking about seriously now, is the socio-political one. It's unpleasant to the many years of any revolutionary, but to actually seek the balkanization of this country. I've worked in the North for 5 years as a school teacher, teaching English language in the sixth form where my boys were. What was in the school to use as dictionaries was John West dictionary, which we used in primary school. John West. And out of 150 students that I had that time, only one was prepared to take English literature as a subject. And that one person was an Igbo boy. So, I'm talking of 1985 to 1989 when I worked there. So you have this problem, and look at their attitude. The religion is so weaponized that once somebody is discrediting our religion, I was there. When you dress like this as a northerner, as a teacher, you dress like this, your fellow teacher will be calling you kafiri. That Western dressing like this by a northern teacher. This is what I experienced. Not that you are telling me. I was in my 20s then. You understand? Yeah. So we have like a country of Southern Sudan, of sharp cultural divide. And my students that I taught, many of them, though they are my personal friends now, they still have a mindset influenced by their environment, their own understanding of religion, far different from you as a Southwesterner or Eastern Nigerian and all that kind of. So we have a person. I'm thinking of an idea of not necessarily balkanizing Nigeria, but going to confederalism. Very weak, very weak center. Very weak center. Now the West or the East, if they want to merge, they can merge. If the West want to send it on, so that you could at least I don't have to say, because you can't close your eyes. For example, you say, okay, Sharia is not applicable to me as a Christian, but when I go to them, I cannot drink beer. I'm a Christian, I cannot drink beer. It's wrong. And then when you are doing fasting, I'm more or less compared. Because everybody will not, nobody, and when you dare not start eating openly as a matter of your right of religion, that you are the one fasting, I'm not the one fasting, people will start stoning you in the same country. So I'm trying to think of a situation now where people should now try, do not disdain bourgeois, moderate politics. You can make it more progressive and activist, and now try to get a constitutional basis for referendum on the issue of whether we must continue to stay together or move apart in whatever dimensions, and now try and acquire power. So the activists, we should leave pressure politics, not abandon it, and try to see, not as an isolated forces, whether we can kick off something. These are the three options I have for where we can move forward. Military armed struggle, severe widespread economic struggle, sabotage, economic struggle, or balkanization in diverse dimensions.
Good day to our viewers all over the world and welcome back to Local Journal. You see, if people keep complaining about you and talking about your excesses every time, then you should know that you are the problem. People cannot be talking about you and always accusing you of being the person that is causing the problem in a particular country. Quite okay, we all accept the fact that a problem has already been created for us by the British. But now is the time for solution, and everybody wants to find a solution to this problem. Everybody wants a lasting solution to this whole problem called Nigeria. But the fact remains that the North are not interested in solving this problem. The only thing they are interested in is one Nigeria. And the reason why the North are interested in one Nigeria is actually because of what they stand to benefit from one Nigeria, because they know if any division happens today and the South is separated from the North is doomed. The North knows the fact that without the South, they are nothing. And this is the reason why they are doing anything to ensure that there is no division in this country. You cannot continue to cheat people and still think they won't discover one day. The West and the East are saying that enough is enough. They are saying that the North is holding this country back. They are saying that if this unity called Nigeria and one Nigeria continues, there is no way the South is going to develop. Other countries in the world that Nigeria is older and richer than are developing at a very fast pace. But in Nigeria today, our growth and development has been stagnated far too long because of the North. So for me, I don't think there should be a case of trying to reach a consensus between the South and the North. The two regions can continue to live side by side as a distinct country. The cultural differences between the South and the North is something that we cannot even talk about. It is something that we can't afford to ignore. And the people of the South cannot continue to be their own brother's keeper at the detriment of their own region. So for the interest of the South and the North, it is better that we split so that all these problems you are having will stop happening. Kindly drop what you have to say in the comment section, and if today is your first time to visit our channel, please kindly like, share and subscribe to our channel.